How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Love People, a podcast with Stephen Meeks, here where I bring on a guest who I've observed loving people in their field. Somebody whose work I appreciate, not necessarily doesn't have to be within the bounds of professional wrestling, but this particular episode is. And my guest today is Mr. Mark James.
What's up, man?
What's going on, pal?
How are you?
I'm well. Now that I'm actually, I forgot to click record the first time, so that was funny.
I know. It was great.
That was funny. Man, so why does Mark James love wrestling? Just get it started.
Wrestling's been the most consistent thing through my entire life. It's been there since I was a child. It's been there all the way through my adulthood, through all the ups and downs and everything. I could always rely on wrestling to give me something to kind of escape. So that's why I love wrestling.
That's why you love wrestling. How long has Mark James been wrestling, or been around the wrestling business? I feel like that's a better question.
Well, I've been wrestling since 2000. But so about 24 years now. I've been around the business most of my life, just watching mostly when I was a kid and things. I grew up in Jersey. I think I started watching in like 82, so way before most people were born. That are probably going to listen to this. But yeah, man, it's just always been a thing. My dad got me into it. We started watching like WWF back in the day. And like the first thing I really remember is the Hogan Iron Sheik match, like the beginning of Hulkamania. And I was such a huge Hogan fan back then as a kid, eating my vitamins, saying my prayers and all that hokey shit that he was preaching. It was great.
As you should have been. Should have been a Hulkamania.
Absolutely, man. I was such a big mark for it. And but yeah, I mean that's kind of how I got into it. And then funny story, I got in some trouble and I ended up in jail for a couple days and got out and needed a place to stay and ended up on a dude's couch for a bit. And the guys at the house there were training to be wrestlers. And I was like, hey, man, I can do that.
That's interesting.
I felt like I knew everything about the business, man. And, I've watched it my whole life. I read all the magazines. I watched the tapes. I did the tape trading back in the day, all this stuff. And yeah, that was it, dude. So I was sleeping on a dude's couch and, a couple dudes. It was like 3 other guys in like a 2-bedroom apartment. It was such a horrible place to live.
Been there. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it, dude. We ended up at a ring in a dude's backyard, and I jumped in trying to run the ropes one time, and I almost broke my neck because I rolled my back. I didn't hit flat like you're supposed to.
Oh no!
Just rolled right up and snapped my neck.
Yeah, you like brawn breakered yourself like you did a couple weeks ago. Man,
horrible. But yeah, that was it, dude. That was like my introduction into the business, and I've never looked back.
So we got 24 years into the business, looking pretty studly with lots of gold, I mean, it's just cool because I haven't known you for very long in the grand scheme of things, but I mean you've been super influential on my wrestling career as like you were there at my first NC match. I feel like with can we say his name? Can we say Michael Devon? I feel like it's like a dirty word anymore. But I'll just
Mike's not a dirty word at all. So like Mike and I go way back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he and I worked together from like Power Pro Wrestling back in 2009, 2010. So we've known each other for a long time, and Mike brings a lot of good into the business, but he brings a lot of old guard into the business too, and stuff we don't need.
And I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a give and take and everything else. Like he's a quality person to have around in the right mediums. You know what I mean? But there's times that like he's going to be the old guy yelling at clouds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just going to be hey, you shouldn't do it this way because we didn't do it this way, and that's just not wrestling.
Yeah, no,
This is what hurt.
I agree. I mean, the only reason I even say it like that was because of there was like a whole thing that happened on Facebook and he kind of disappeared for a while. And then I was like, I didn't know. I just don't.
Yeah, no,
Anyway.
we're good.
Yeah.
I still talk to him. I talked to him at the last DCW show. I have a history of being the guy that calls people out for shit.
Yeah, I love that. That's like one of my favorite. That's kind of why I wanted to have you on, because you're kind of well known as like the low tolerance for bullshit guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like I can say swear words now because without YouTube being super mad at me. But like, and like that's kind of like again, I really wanted this to drive home like the fact that we're all loving people through wrestling or loving people through like our craft. Whether it's dependent, no matter what your product you're putting out. So anyway, yeah. But yeah, so like you were at my first NC wrestling show and you've got to see a lot of my work, like, and see it kind of grow into whatever it's grown into over the last year that you've been watching me work. But I really enjoy sharing the locker room with you and with Alex Evans. I think that you guys are just like a great addition to the locker room and to any show. I mean, I feel like that's pretty obvious I look at title belts almost as like no, I look at like belts in wrestling, especially independent wrestling, as like a level of trust. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I obviously like you're kind of like that guy right now in the North Carolina area, or at least like looked at as like a well-respected leader. So like, what's that kind of? How do you get to that point after? I mean,
I think you stay around long enough for people. Yeah. Sorry, guys, I'm making dinner too, so we're gonna multitask just a little bit here while I'm stirring this casserole that I got going on. We're making like a chicken and potato casserole. Very well seasoned
through it, yeah.
Right. We've got some chicken, some potatoes cut in quarters. We've got some nice salt and black truffle seasoning. We've got some garlic powder. We've got a little seasoned salt. We've got some a little bit of everything in this. So, but anyway, it's really good.
Black truffle. Yeah, it's lots of umami.
Yeah, it's really good. It's like a black truffle sea salt, dude. It's so good.
Not a sponsor.
But I'm not. Unlike Drew Hood, I'm the seasoned veteran, not the unseasoned veteran.
Yes, dude. If I don't see this man start using that term more often, like he one side or the other, either being the unseasoned guy or like the seasoned guy, I feel like there's money there. I think that's hilarious.
Drew's really good. He had a great weekend over the last weekend. He was over doing the Gabe Spolsky seminar and everything down at APW. There was a lot of guys that got a really, really cool opportunity down there. So it's good stuff. But man, going back to your question about the locker room stuff. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody.
No, I love the Rachel Ray fucking like segue or like a cutaway gag. But yeah, that's funny.
It's gonna happen at least a couple more times, possibly, because I have to stir it every 20 minutes. But anyway,
it'll be a montage.
Yeah, hell yeah, and we're gonna do cooking with the brute, and loving people through wrestling. But dude, like it's really cool to be looked at. And all right, so I've been a locker room leader for a while, but I feel like before I got out the first time, and the way I do it now are two totally different people. I was very much more abrasive back then. I was a prick. I wasn't a guy that like I wanted in my locker room back then. And I've got a lot of stigma on me from some of that. Now, not all the time, you know what I mean? I'm still me, obviously, but there was like levels of like I just didn't take any bullshit from anyone. And there was no thought behind it. It was just, this way or no way. Now, like, just a totally different aspect of how you look at the business. how you look at the people in it. I see so much more out of the kids that are around now, guys like you that are just really give a shit about what you're doing. And like I don't know. I think it was a lot of influence on me back then, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm glad to be free of it, and I'm happy to be back in the business. Happy to be back wrestling again. It's my outlet. It's I don't know. It's just fun. So I love that my family supports it as much as they support it. You know what I mean? Like my wife
Yeah.
is cool with it, but she's like, I don't feel like going, which is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We
And when she
love we
does
love
go,
seeing them.
it's usually cool. Like, dude, she's been with me for 15 years of this shit. You know what I mean? Like she's over it, and I get it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
There's only so many times you can meet Ricky Morton, you know.
Yeah,
And yeah.
and hear the same jokes
Yeah.
each time. And I love you. I love you. But you know, it is what it is. The cool thing, honestly, like I thought like my son would be like the really cool part about me coming back and him being real into it. But he's like really cool about hearing about it, but the drives he's totally not with. But my
Yeah.
daughter is like all about going to shows now, and mostly because like all the guys I wrestle with are her age. So she has
Yeah.
like a ton of friends now, which is cool. What?
That's awesome.
Well, because when we first met and I met her mother and everything else, we were going to shows. She was 4 or 5, so everybody was like Uncle Scrap and Uncle Foley and this guy and this guy.
Yeah.
So it was all like people watching her and you better not do this. And now it's her friend, so it's a totally different vibe for her. So she's actually having a good time.
That's fun. That's
And
fun.
yeah, it's cool, man.
I love that it's like a family affair. I feel like honestly, like some people, like you say that you were just around long enough, right? But personally, I've had a lot of interactions with like 20-year vets with like 25 matches. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a big difference between like just being senior versus being like tenured. You know what I'm saying? Or like,
Yeah.
you know, so it's been cool to be able to come up with UPW with all its growing pains and all that fun stuff that we've experienced through them. Like I just really see like you stand out as a leader. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Thank you.
it's really cool to I mean, obviously nobody's trying to get on your bad side, obviously, but like it's really cool to be like I kind of take pride. I don't necessarily like train at a school right now, right? But like
Sure.
people ask me like who I like who would like sign off on me, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm a Victor Andrews guy, or like I'm a Mark James guy, or I'm trying to think of other people like that who've like been like really like invested in me and like, you know, kind of not necessarily taking me under their wing, but like they would put me over to like a promotion. Like you've got me work before. So it's like, I think that's really like that's really freaking cool. And it's like that's something that gives me like accountability. You know what I'm saying? Cause it's like, I don't want to go out here and show my ass and then have it get back around to you or Uncle Vic or like, you know, it's Uncle Bob Evans or like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like, yeah, I feel like that aspect of wrestling, like we talk about like the fraternity aspect, but it's like, it's kind of deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? Like we all kind of keep each other right, or try to as much as we can.
I think a lot of it goes into just caring about the people around you, and you're a really good dude. And from getting to know you, you actually care about what you're doing. I'm gonna turn this camera so we're both on the same plane here. Sorry.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll go. Oh, he's gone.
I lost you.
No, you're good.
I tried to just change the orientation on the screen, and the thing was like, "No, fuck you, we're leaving."
Yeah,
And
no, that's funny.
Jesus.
And we're back. Hey,
Yeah. Sorry,
this
guys.
is the power of video editing. But yeah, no, I appreciate your kind words, you know, and it's like I said, like I look up to people like you and Victor who have just been like putting in good work, and then like you guys invest in me. So it's like I like you tell me that I care about like my product. You know what I'm saying? It's like you guys kind of motivate me to keep at it. You know what I'm saying? So
Dude, so the cool thing about what's going on with you is like you're slowly trickling out there, and you're really humble about what's going on, and it's great. But you don't realize how over Stephen Meeks is. Everywhere you go, you're making friends. You know what I mean? Like literally, I told you about the one day I had two people before 7 a.m. talk to me about you. One guy
yeah,
that worked with you in like Colorado,
yeah.
and another guy from like South Carolina, Georgia area. You know what I mean? So the cool thing about you is you're a humble guy. Like you're a non-ego guy, and that's what the business needs. We need more non-ego guys. We need guys that will just go out there and have a great time and put on a great show for the fans and come back and know they did their job. They don't care win, lose, draw, whatever. Like, because that's not the business. The business is entertaining, and you're so good at that. It really, it's been a pleasure to watch grow over the last year. I loved your, like, you talked about you and Mike and how that went, and I don't, that wasn't a great first match for you, not because
No.
of you, but because of what it was.
Yeah, and like it was just awkward, bro. Like I don't want to say I didn't have fun, but it's like he just there's been a lot of bumps in the road of people just not understanding what I've been trying to do.
Yeah,
Like, and I feel like that was a particular interaction where it was like we didn't really work together super well just because like he didn't understand my gimmick, or really he didn't understand how to react to it to put it over. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
When I wish at the time had I like known better, I would have just communicated to him like, "Hey, it's Adrian Street," or "Hey, it's what's another? It's Boogie Woogie, man."
yeah.
I had my match with Justin Kindred last weekend, and I was like, I had been watching Boogie all week, and I'm like, how much of this stuff can I actually get away with? Like in a match, like not necessarily like the knees or like the wiping my rear end with my bandana or whatever, but like the strut or like you know what I'm saying, like
Oh yeah.
the smile, like it's all there. So it's like that was an important like lesson I needed to learn in order to like
I need you to watch Larry Sweeney.
okay, I need to write this down.
Yeah, you need to watch Larry Sweeney.
Okay, lately it's been Adrian Street and Boogie Woogie Man. Like just because I feel like that's like the question that I get asked, like if a young wrestler is going to ask me like what I've been watching lately, it's all like that character stuff,
Sure.
obviously. But like my favorite to watch is lately has been Jerry Lawler because he's so good at reacting to
Mhm.
every little different thing that he's like fed up. Like it's just super interesting
It's
to
Memphis,
watch.
man. But
Yeah,
that's all the old school, dude. That's the
yeah.
stuff that I love. And it's all the stuff that I talked to the kids at Firestar about last week when we were at training. I talked about how like it's great that you can talk about everything and figure out your matches and all that, but you have to leave space for the art. You
Hmm.
have to leave space to be creative and have fun and play with the crowd and be able to get your character in. It can't all be wrestling, not all the time. Not everybody can do that. Like we're not all Jonathan Gresham, we're not
Yeah.
all Zack Sabre Jr. We
Hmm.
shouldn't be. Everybody
Hmm.
has to have their own character in their own life. So
Yeah.
I choose more like the style of what you're talking about. Larry Sweeney was a wrestler as well as a manager, and he worked a lot in like up north, and he did a lot of stuff with Shikara and stuff like that. So great character, mostly heel, a lot of heel stuff, but he had a lot of good comedy. I think you can get,
Hmm.
and he had a lot of like really good character work that I think you could grab some from. So
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to get into him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Have
Larry
you
Sweeney.
been to Boogie's school?
No, I've been trying. I'm trying to make it out there this year because I have to meet this man. Like, obviously, I want him to
You've
see
never
my
met
work.
Boogie?
No, not even. I'm like butthurt about it. Like, I need to meet this man. Like, I just want him to see my work. Like, because it's obviously like such a Like he's such a big influence on my shtick. Like I love, and I'm really good friends with the booker up there. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't know Kizzy Fizzy or whatever. But like,
Yeah, whatever.
I would love to go up there. I just haven't put it on my schedule. But it's like, but yeah, like that's like when I'm talking to my peers and they're talking about like how do I wrestle like in my gimmick? Like he's like the guy that I always go to.
Well,
And
see,
Adrian.
but you've changed so much over the year. When you came in, you were wanting to be the next Johnny Saint.
Yeah, well, because he was like the only person I had seen that did like it was all out wrestling the opponent. Like I couldn't do. I was trying to be non-combative, but until I realized like, oh wait, we're wrestlers. We all went to wrestling school. I'm allowed to wrestle and fight this dude.
Yeah.
And then obviously like if I've taken some heat and it looks, especially if it's like believable and it's good and the crowd's eating it up, like I can fight back and still be the hippie. Like it's just a big part of like the biggest evolution or whatever, like the light bulb was like finding out where does Stephen Meeks like live as a character. Like I kind of think about it as like SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. Like certain wrestlers had like different standing animations. Like RVD would like jump on his toes, or like Scotty 2 Hotty would do this like dance with his arms, or like I'm trying to think of other like examples, but it's like they lived there. Like even in the video game, like I don't like the whole. I don't want to get like buried by Cornette by doing like by comparing wrestling to a video game, but it's like that's kind of my way. That was kind of like my breakthrough
It's okay.
moment. Yeah,
we're not here to make Corny happy.
Yeah, I mean,
Trust me, it's not the easiest fucking thing to do.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I don't know. That's like kind of it's just really cool. Like and then I wrestled your boy, and we've wrestled before. I got a picture of that.
We have, man. It was a very it was a really fun match, but I think we could do it way better now. I think we could have a blast.
I think that Love and War, like this photo is so special to me. Like I don't know where somebody hid this photo from me. I had never seen it until UPW just posted it on Facebook the other day, as they tend to do. They just randomly post stuff on Facebook, and then I find it. They be talking about, oh, Stephen Meeks said this, and I was like, I don't remember that. Now,
man, their social media is off the chain. They just do their own thing. I don't know.
UPW. I'm not gonna get into it, but like this picture is cinematic to me. Like this is fun. I think, and Grant Watts has been just like absolutely freaking putting in the work. Like he's in I guess California right now, training at the New Japan Dojo.
Yeah.
And he's going to come back and just be like, I mean, he was already Grant Watts, but now he's going to be like Grant Watts, like, I mean, on drinking the milk. Like, I don't know. Man. Like he's just going to be a whole different freaking beast. Like
guy's going to be a monster. I can't wait. I really can't wait for this match again. I'd love to work with you guys. I think it's going to be a blast. Grant's, I'm sure, learned so much from being over there. It's going to be a hell of a time. But yeah, this was our first. This was like mine and Alex's like second match, and y'all's first match.
Yes, definitely. I mean, probably within like the first like 30 matches I had ever. I mean, like very early on. So I just, yeah, you somehow you took care of me, and you had wrestled Grant. Grant had already had that same match like 2 or 3 times with you, right?
Just one other time.
Okay. Because there was the whole, you guys have wrestled a few times, I feel like.
Yeah, he worked with Alex a couple times. They had a singles match, and then we did the tag with Alex and I against him and Cam, and that was actually our first match tagging together.
Hell yeah!
So we did that one, and then you guys. So you guys were our second one. So
what's that like relationship like? Because I feel like, I mean, you and Alex spend a lot of time together, and that's like almost like he's not like your pupil by any means, but like you guys are homies, and you're tenured in the business. And Alex, I mean, he's I feel like he he could get away by saying he's a little bit more tenured than he is, because I mean
Sure.
he's the most well spoken man on the East Coast. I mean, he would, concussion be damned. I mean, he will cut that promo and it will be damn good. Like his hair is never out of place.
Never, not once.
He's just that guy. So it's like
the Ron Burgundy of wrestling.
The Ron Burgundy dude. T-shirt. But so yeah, how's it been like watching his growth, you know, like or like tagging in particular, because I'm sure he teaches you stuff too. Like that's the cool thing about wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is a really smart guy, and he's a ton of fun to work with. Honestly, when I came back, I never planned to get back into tag wrestling. I had so much time in tag wrestling. I really wanted to just do my own thing. But I found that the way Alex and I work together, I can still do my own thing working with him, and we still work together well. Like we're still a decent, like a good tag team. I feel like we always need more reps. We haven't been doing it very long, but we've had a lot of success. Somewhat because I'm an old wily veteran, and I can find ways to make it happen in the ring, and somewhat because Alex is really savvy. He's really smart. He's well advanced for the time that he's been in the business. I think he's really only wrestled fully for like 2 years now, maybe 2.5. But he started training a long time ago, and then he jumped back into it with Firestar. And again, it just goes to show you that guys that are coming out of that school and the quality of them. You know, Alex can be looked at as a veteran, even though he's not been in very long. So.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun to work with. One of the things that I took away from his and my match was like, it was you and him both. You were like, man, I never really get to work like that, because especially being like a Firestar product, like that's just a different flavor ice cream. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I love going over there because it's like we can learn this like super awesome complicated spot, and then I can just take one little piece of it, and I'm like, okay, I do this one thing really good, so I might add this to a match. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, so it was just cool because I felt like I was able to kind of teach Alex a little bit about like a different style and give him a chance to work that like stupid Memphis style match. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So
he needs that too. Like he needs the on the fly stuff. He needs to work with more things and more people and just be able to again create, because that's the whole point about what we're doing here. We're back to the Rachel Ray shit.
Yes, let's go. Let's go.
Great. We're just stirring. Sorry, guys. Nothing crazy yet. But
the potatoes are cut into cubes.
It's potatoes and chicken. It looks really
oh my god, it looks immaculate.
Right? Nothing crazy. I got a big family though. You know, we got 4 people here, and I got a growing boy. You know.
Yeah.
I got, he's like 10 and he eats a ton. Not really.
Oh, yeah.
But I eat a ton. I'll have leftovers for a couple days. But anyway, yeah, Alex is it's really cool to see a lot of times like that light bulb go off in people.
Mm-hmm.
And from being a guy and learning the way I did about the business and how I needed to I guess go the hard way for everything. It was really tough to really kind of find my way when I was getting into the business. I had people that were helping me, but I was like not going to the best wrestling school. I was not, I wasn't the guy that was getting all the rub from all the promoters. Nobody really knew who the fuck I was, that kind of stuff. But I just kept working. I kept plugging along and, finding my way and finding a way into promotions. If I had to be a ring announcer or a referee or something like that, I did it, whatever it took back then. And it's cool to see people with a similar mentality that they're going to go out and they're just going to do what it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever they need to get into the business and get it done. You've kind of done that. You've been a guy that's been willing to go and jump in the ring with whoever and work their way and find your way and you've been big on watching tape and you send your video to people and you're asking how can I get better or what do you think about this spot and stuff like that. Like you can see how your mind works in the business, and I love working with people like that. It's always fun.
That's kind of like my main goal right now is like I want the people that matter, like the people that have done it for real, like not like the 20-year vets with 50 matches, you know what I'm saying? Like just people that have actually done the thing. Like I want to have an attractive mind for the business. And I feel like I spent a large portion of my beginning in wrestling like kind of like not almost just being like really misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess I kind of overcomplicated it at the beginning, or I thought it was more complicated than it was. And then
Everybody does.
yeah, well, yeah, wrestling is so, it almost sounds like condescending. Like when you're trying to talk to somebody who's like coming up and they're trying to get like that like nugget of wisdom. And then you just look at them and you're like, it's easy. You just XYZ, tackle, drop down, hip toss, quit the business. Like that's
it's just like they haven't felt it yet. You know what I'm saying? And it's so hard to explain because again, like when I was coming up, I told people, I was 7 years in and I did a seminar with Simon Dean and or Nova from ECW, however people know him, and he was like, "Man, you're good, but you look like a guy that's been on the Indies for 7 years." You know what I'm saying? Like you've been working guys that are as good as you are or worse and whatever. And like, you need to work people better than you.
Yeah.
And at that point it was like, all right, well, I've put 7 years into this and I've only gotten here. Like what do I have to do? But it was a different time then because people weren't as like giving about all this information sometimes. Like you really had to work your way into a lot of places to be able to find these things out. So I didn't have a specific like trainer to go back to or like a mentor to go back to. I was just kind of finding my way. And it didn't help either that like my anxiety wouldn't let me bother people about shit. And it didn't help that, I didn't want to look like I was needy or like the mark in the locker room or something like that, bugging the names as they came in. I just sat back and listened and, took what I could about it and asked questions when I could and things like that. And I was lucky to catch the favor of a few like really, really solid people in the business, similar to what you're trying to do. You know what I mean?
And I feel like I've really like been able to accomplish that lately. Cause I mean, like with UPW, like that's a big opportunity right there.
Yeah, man.
I mean, just the one upcoming match with CW is going to be absolutely stupid. I don't even want to talk about it. Like it's just absolutely nugging futz. And then there's another match after that. Like not even 2 weeks later, bro. Like I think this is probably going to be it's low key. I might censor this, but I'm like allegedly going to wrestle George South like in April. So like it's like. So we're kind of honestly in similar seasons if you think about it, because it's like we got lots of freaking big matches. I almost put the Rhino and Heath graphic in here just to like talk about it or like talk about like how do you. I'm trying to figure out the way to like pretty boy segue this, but it's like making that transition from like nose to the grindstone, like trying to find these like nuggets of information from like not necessarily the names, but like like your version. Like I think of like you and Victor are like my uncles, right? So it's like you're talking. It's like nephew Brute is talking to uncle whoever, and it's like when does that transition really happen? And also like how do you navigate it with grace so that you continue to get more opportunities? You know what I'm saying? Because it's honestly it's almost like it's not nerve wracking because obviously you did something to earn the opportunity, but it's like it can be kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Got you. I don't really know when people like when that light switch comes on and people say, "Oh, you can work with this TV guy." Or you can work with this name. I think it just happens. Um, Again, I was lucky. Like early in my career, I worked with like Ron Killings, and I worked with the Stro, and I worked with like Conan and Norman Smiley. I wrestled Norman Smiley once, and I'd love to wrestle. I'd love to have another opportunity, even though I know it won't happen. I wasn't ready back then. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
lot of things where you think you're ready and you're not, and but you're lucky enough to be put in the position. So I don't like politic for these matches or anything like that. I'm just happy to be put in a place that I can wrestle with these guys. And to be honest, like the infantry, I respect the hell out of Captain Dean and Carly. I've worked shows with them before, and I've talked to both guys before and things like that. So it'll be cool to be able to actually wrestle them, and it's a totally different style than what we've done and what we're really used to.
Oh,
So it's going to be an interesting match, man.
it's
Um,
gonna be fun, dude. I'm
yeah,
trying to make it out to the Sean Dean seminar because
sure,
I feel like what makes a seminar attractive to me is honestly more so like maybe I'm more attracted to tryouts than seminars because
yeah,
I feel like the best way because what are you trying to gain out of a seminar? Like me personally, I'm trying to figure out how do I make my living with wrestling, right? So it's like if I go to a seminar, my what makes it attractive one is like it has this person giving out the jobs or like the opportunities or like what can this like people like the Gabe Sapolskys or like the Sean Deans, like people that have been in that almost kind of like executive role, like what makes my work attractive to them. You know what I'm
sure,
saying? So I definitely really want to check out that seminar. I think
man.
that would be
And I've tried to be along that wavelength. Like I've done similar things, but then I've noticed that these other seminars just kind of get you ready for it. And as long as
yeah.
you're choosing people that are worth the choice, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to have 2 hours of somebody doing cardio drills to me that
Yeah.
you're not learning.
Hmm.
You don't want um, I don't know, somebody just talking to you the whole time. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You're not learning that way. And I talk a lot. Like I'm a guy that when I train, I talk a ton. So
Hmm.
it like I totally get that. But we also get some work in, and we're working on form and we're working on things like that. But
Hmm.
I'm also not doing seminars. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I did with Simon Dean, and he was talent relations at WWE. I did with Johnny Ace. He was talent relations there. I was with Harley Race. I've done one of his seminars. Terry Taylor. I've done one of his seminars, and he was doing talent relations stuff at Impact or TNA at the time. Harley with his Fed. I mean, I've always kind of picked, the better ones to go to, I guess, in that respect. But then, like, there's guys like, again, Jonathan Gresham, who's doing a seminar here recently,
Hmm.
who's got a hell of a lot to offer. CW could do seminars, and like, he's
Oh
not
yeah.
talent relations, but Jesus, that guy's been everywhere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of people, and we're lucky to work in a location that has so many like really really great talents from all walks of the business. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
we've got ECW guys around here, we've got WCW guys around here, we've got old WWF guys around here, we've got newer, whatever. In like just the Mid Atlantic is so like ripe with wrestling, and it's awesome because you can see
Hmm.
all of it getting passed down to the next generation, to the next generation, and then just quality consistently coming out of the Mid Atlantic area with even the most recent signing of Malachi, Jay Malachi going
Dude.
down to
Yeah.
NXT. Like
Yeah.
just outstanding talents left and right coming out of here. Cedric Alexander, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler. You know what I mean? Like all these
Uh,
guys, the Hardys, everybody
yeah.
constantly coming from the Mid Atlantic area. So, and it takes this kind of stuff, though, man. It takes people passing on their knowledge, and it takes people being willing to care about, the other people in the locker room, and really helping people learn how to continue on that path.
So I think like a a lot of so we've been talking for like 40 minutes now
Yeah, I talk a lot.
about
Sorry.
yeah, no, that's cool. So this is just like my file save as segue. So it's like we've been chit chatting for a minute now about like love and wrestling. Like, do you have like a wrestling loved you back story? I guess it's kind of like when your family's involved, it's kind of easy to see that, you know, like as long as they're having fun and everybody's, then it's all cool. But it's like get getting to work with certain people, or like being able to be influenced by them. Like, do you have like a wrestling love you? Wrestling kind of is looked at as this thing sometimes of like, it's maybe not the nicest business to be a part of. So it's
Sure.
like, but I feel like we all have like I mean, it's got to scratch our back sometime, or else I feel like you hit a wall with it eventually. It's like a toxic relationship, you know?
Yeah.
So, but so like, do you have,
Very, very toxic.
yeah, but
Yeah, so wrestling love me back stories. Man, I get so many fans that come up to me and talk to me about how like matches influence them and how my style reminds them of days gone by and things like that. And that always drives you. You know, it's always like really cool to have people buying merch and doing all the little things that we love for fans to do. Wrestling loves me back by being able to let me have a creative outlet. When I was out of the business for a while, I didn't really have it, and it fucked with my head a lot. You know what I mean? Like it was hard to function some days, and it's nice to be able to have that aggressive outlet, that creative outlet, to be able to find a way to keep myself in shape and happy in that respect. I'm literally in the best shape I've ever been in at 44 years old.
hell
Um,
yeah.
and that's really cool. But it's also afforded me opportunities to learn how to create characters and understand how production works, and to work behind the scenes on cameras and find acting opportunities through this, because I've learned how theater is and how I can direct myself in matches, and how to control audiences and things like that. So it's helped me into get into the acting field. I've been able to work with really cool charities throughout my time. I started a company called Just Cause Pro Wrestling. It was just completely made to work with charities. This was back in like 2002, and we did a few different shows with like Relay for Life and Vietnam Veterans of America and Pennies from Heaven and stuff like that. I was part of like I'm no John Cena, but I've made like two like sub wishes come true for kids that
Yeah.
were working with Make a Wish in the area, who loved wrestling and was going to like a big WWE show. But we did an add on for them.
Yeah.
One kid named Miles, we like created an entire show just for Miles
That's
one
fun.
day, and he brought his whole family. We sold tickets and stuff like that too. But he was like,
Yeah.
he had a big part in the show, and everything that was really cool.
That's
And
fun.
I got to wrestle there. I did another one with AML for a kid named Zach that ended up going to Mania, and they came to AML. We set up for them to meet AJ Styles and Sanjay Dutt back at one of the Johnny and June shows. So like wrestling loves me back in ways like that. You know,
But
it
like
helps me be able to
opportunities
give
to
back.
serve,
Yeah,
like I love that. That's so much
yeah.
fun.
It's always fun, man. I love being able to do this kind of stuff. Like to go to a kid's, like I said, the first kid, Miles, they had like a big birthday party for him and everything else, and I was the wrestler they invited to the party, and like stuff like that's really cool, man. And
Yeah.
people just look at it a certain way, and you feel like you're on cloud nine and everything else, and then the next day it's kind of like slapped in the face with reality, back to your job, back to
Yeah, it's tough, making them grandma samplers after a weekend of like, really good wrestling, like sitting behind that grill at wherever establishment
yeah,
you're
man,
at that week, you know what I'm
it's
saying?
rough.
Like it's tough, bro. But yeah, so it's like, so now that we're we've kind of established like what loving people through wrestling is, and now that you can probably go out into the field and more intentionally love people through wrestling, like what does that look like going forward, or like what are your? I feel like if I was to ask you like what are your goals for just like, because nobody wants to put a time stamp on it or whatever, but it's like we all have like things that we're working towards. I feel like you've kind of already answered the question, but I want to ask you again just to reinforce it and like have the nice pretty clip of it. But it's like what does loving people through wrestling look like for Mark James, and like what are your goals for the future? I mean,
I think I'm in some really cool positions in companies right now that I can be really helpful for a lot of people. I've been able to, with UPW specifically, I've been able to work with a lot of talents, on matches and how to help their characters more and things like that. So that's a lot of fun. I don't have goals for me. I just want to have fun. I just want to go and wrestle and have a good time and work with people that love what they're doing and have good matches. And that's it. Like I want to be safe and be able to work the next day and, not get injured and things like that. Those are my goals, for other people, I've got tons of goals, honestly, and I want to do everything I can to help them. Guys like you, guys like Alex, guys like Jackson Drake, guys like Khalif, you know what I mean? Guys like Annie, Leah, Amira, you know what I mean? Like there's so many really, really awesome people and really amazing talents in this area. And like, I went again going to Firestar as little as I do, which I should go more. But it's really cool to be able to sit there and work with all the young talents there, and they're just like sponges, dude. It's such an awesome generation for wrestling.
Well, and I think just kind of hats off to LeBron for cultivating that kind of environment. I mean, because there are a lot of wrestling schools that aren't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of wrestling schools with like way less prestige and like way more ego than that of like a Firestar, or like got to put over with my friends at the Power Slam Academy out of West Virginia with Chance Prophet. I mean, like those guys are like, I mean, especially out of Power Slam, like those guys are killers. But they're nice as can be,
Chance
like
is
they're
awesome.
absolute sweethearts. But like
he's one of my favorite people. I've never wrestled Chance, and I'm so upset. We've worked so many shows together. I absolutely love that guy.
Yeah.
But we've yet to wrestle, and I think that would be a really fucking kick-ass match.
I tell people unironically all the time that he's my favorite wrestler. I mean, he can do everything. He's just he's just professional and entertaining is like the only way you can describe it.
He's very Dustin Rhodes with his work. What I mean is he's really versatile, and his like work is impeccable all the time. Yeah.
That's a match you can watch. Chance Prophet versus Goldust on the interwebs. I've watched it. You need to watch it. It's very good. It's a lot of fun.
That's like it's like the Spider-Man match. It's like two guys pointing at each other. Yeah, because it's like the same person in two different characters. You know what I mean? The Chance's work rate is second to none. You know what I mean? The guy's just outstanding. And then his character work has always been one of the best in the area. Like if anything in the country, like he's taken this character that he's had and the face paint, it's just so well known. And man, it's really
often imitated, never duplicated. He's very influential figure. I'm super freaking blessed.
Yeah, man. So anybody, what is it? You said the West Virginia area Power Slam?
Yeah, Power Slam Pro is just they're killing it. There's Nurse Micah, Troy Parker, trying to think who else. I mean, Casey King is back on the scene. I'm trying to think who Bishop Baylor,
nice.
Shane Kryzak. Shane Kryzak is honestly probably like one of the best kept secrets in West Virginia, because that man has like not only the knowledge for wrestling, but the way that he can like. It's one thing just to we get one more freaking episode of the damn shit. No, so like it's one thing to be good at something, right? But it's a whole other thing to like be able to explain it to somebody, like to have that education skill.
Yeah.
So and Shane Kryzak is just that for wrestling. Like he's a freaking genius.
See, and I've never met him. He sounds really cool though.
He was like kind of like the co-trainer at Power Slam when I very first started, like closer to like 3 years ago. But yeah, he's a freaking gem. I would love to have that match in the future. But yeah, man. So we can close out with the chef's comment. Is it almost done?
It is almost done, man. We're just in the last stir. And the potatoes are really soft now. The chicken's cooked through. You want to make sure the chicken is cooked 165 degrees. Check it if you have to, right? But we're just gonna add some cheese and some little bit of onions and some, I don't know, a little bit more seasoning, and we're gonna see how it goes. I kind of just let my ancestors tell me what to put in this thing. You know what I mean? One of those deals.
I just wanted to give you the floor and give you the background music and everything. Make it nice and nice and pretty.
Disgusting. Don't do that.
Bro, no, that's funny. But yeah, bro. I guess that's it. That's all I got for me. I want to do this again when I have more reps in my bones. Because
we'll definitely get back together. We got a ton to talk about, and I can talk for hours. So
yeah,
I really appreciate you having me on, though, dude.
Your time. Like this is kind of like everything I wanted out of like a introductory episode. You know what I'm saying? So thank you.
A cooking show along with wrestling talk.
It's like one of the cool things about our buddies, Good Guy Bad Pants. And I'll leave it at this, just because I feel like I have to talk to them about them at least once, just because they're kind of super influential to all this going on. But like the way that they're not afraid to not talk about wrestling is one of my favorite things. So if you want to hop on here and not talk about wrestling, like that's cool. Like it's the main focus is just loving people, because this is a podcast called Love People, and it's been a podcast with Stephen Meeks and Mark James and his delicious meal that he prepared for his family during the episode. So thank you all so much. Thank you for
having me, man. I appreciate it. Love you, dude.